Welcome to Edify Living, where we look beyond the horizon because there is always more to life. A new year always brings new aspirations, new mood boards, new hopes, and most importantly, a chance to do things that scared you the last year. Today's podcast is about one such topic we always push in the corner: the importance of no in our lives. We've always been taught the ideals of helping others and just going extra mile for people, valuing their needs over ours. And over the time, I have realized that though these are principles to live by, there is a certain fault to this learning. We all function with a certain bandwidth, our capacity to do things in the best way possible. I call that bandwidth. A lot of people do. And everything you're able to do is because of that recharged bandwidth. We encounter a lot of situations in life we don't want to be a part of. And yet, you just can't stay out of it. Because at the end of the day, saying no was such a big job. You just couldn't deny it, and you're stuck somewhere where you just didn't want it to be. When we are taught to say no to much bigger things in life, and yet unfortunately we ignore the fact that in everyday life too, there is a need to say a firm no. No matter how small or how insignificant the demand is, if it doesn't align with you, it is a definite no. I can't help you with that, I'm busy. Or I can't go out, I'm not available. But certainly, me and you, we both shy away from saying such sentences. Either we end up making excuses, telling tall tales of lies, or simply we end up agreeing because saying no brought up so many negative questions in the mind that just couldn't harbor the fact that we are denying to a request. So there's this thing, simply because we are our own person, firstly, and there is an utmost need to understand that the love, kindness, and care you spread around you doesn't come from outside. It comes from within. A lot of people preach self-love, but what most forget to highlight is the fact that self-love comes when you begin putting yourself first in the situations that no matter how hard they are, they demand it and you really do it. You simply don't have to attend a party because everybody in your circle is attending. Or you just don't have to agree to everything because it'll make you odd one out. It is okay to be different, it is okay to be varied, and it is certainly okay to say no to things that do not make sense to you. And I know this is easier said and a lot harder done. Because you see, firstly, there is this emotion called guilt that claws your heart. You feel bad at bailing out and you just don't do it. Next comes the fear of rejection. A fear so bad that has grasped this whole generation in its clutches and just makes them do almost everything because we do not want to be uncool. We just do not want to appear a yellow in a bunch of red flowers. And finally comes the emotion of not being able to prove your worth. You do not want to break this image of a virtuous person people have of you in their mind, or simply you believe that you can do this, so you do not know how to get out of it. Which ultimately makes this practice of saying no almost impossible in real life. But that's what we are going to discuss and deliberate today. How to be unapologetic about saying no, about denying things no matter how hard they are, no matter how bad they make you feel at the starting, but you realize their importance in the long run. A no that is to make you feel bad, but a no that is to put you first. That's what we are going to discuss. There is nothing wrong with a new mother who wants to take a break from her newly established duties of motherhood because she feels overwhelmed. And there is certainly nothing wrong for an employee to say no to a certain group activity because he or she doesn't feel comfortable doing it. And similarly, there is nothing wrong with you if you bail out of a certain get-together because you do not have the energy for it. We talk about normalizing a lot of things in this generation of internet. So today I want you to normalize talking rejection, refusing things, and just not doing them because they do not make your days better, or simply because they do not make you breathe easy. Let's refuse them and let's normalize this. We live in a fast world. We go through different stages of life almost every other day. Nowadays, the mood of our life changes faster than seasons do, and there is no pun intended. So it's okay to accept that there are bad days, there are good days, and then there are certainly just days where there is nothing out of ordinary, you're just living life. So when in this fast-paced world and this very fast-paced life of yours, you can include a 20-minute skincare routine, a bubble bath, some gardening routine, some yoga, 30-minute journaling, meditation, or any other form of self-care you do just to take care of yourself. Why can't we include refusing in the ordinary? Yeah, that's because we are made to believe that if you're putting yourself before others or simply other things, you're failing at being a good human, at being a good partner, at being whatever sort of relationship we're talking here. There is no definition to being a good human. And there are certainly no rule books to define relationships or human experiences in his life, from family, friends, and all other sort of relationships. The things that matter to you will find space in your life themselves. You don't have to force them into being a part of your life. Because if there's pressure and force involved, in just doing things or keeping people, they will never last longer. And as harsh this is, it is true. There are these things that you're looking for in your New Year resolution which deserve a big fat no. This is all the way you're doing a favor to yourself and to those parties as well. Things that make you feel the pressure and force to keep them in your life. May that be activities, certain habits, or certain people. They are not meant to be, and it is better to let them go. You have to make space of things that actually matter by letting go of things that are just filling the room for you. Until and unless you will not make a space for accommodation, good things and things that you deserve, they will never find space in your life. And there is nothing wrong in letting go of things which were never yours in the first place. There is something I have noticed over the years. When we do things out of compulsion, things that you don't actually want to do, but you just end up doing because you couldn't say a no, they are which becomes regrets in later run. To live in a space sacredly unapologetic is knowing your priorities and deciding that the highest of them is to make choices you feel good about and do not regret. Setting healthy boundaries is not wrong. In fact, it is much required. It is not your responsibility to sacrifice for everyone, going over and beyond just because you think it is the right thing to do. And one thing people fail to understand is you don't become selfish if you stop doing what's good for people and start doing what's good for yourself. In fact, there is one thing which becomes crystally clean here, that you understand what your boundaries are. And one thing I want to add here is, this is something I've been always taught at my home since my childhood, that you can be kind and caring at heart, and you still have all the right to say no to things, situations and people that make you uncomfortable or make you step out of your boundaries. And there is this thing I've learned over time, and to be honest, the hard way, that your ability to accept and not accept things gives people understanding of how you're meant to be treated. If you yourself won't respect your boundaries, no one will. And as cruel as this sounds, it is typically the truth of the world we live in. But the irony is, when a fast yes is applauded, even a slow no is condemned in the world we live. And the fact is that these are no fairy tales. So if people beam at you when you give them a fast agreement, they should be equally supportive when you give them a firm no. No reasons, no excuse. Because every other excuse is an invitation to be asked again in some other way, and the cycle never ends. You must have heard this or read it. No is a complete sentence, and dear listener, this new year, one affirmation or aim in your journal entry should be an authoritative and firm no when you feel like. Because ultimately, those who respect for who you are will understand and respect your boundaries well. And maybe in some cases, they will do it more than you do, and those who do not, they're simply the toxic trash waiting for you to be taken out. And as we always say at Edify Living, a little more to life doesn't come only within the outside changes. You need to do the innate work. Work that is done within you. So when you're deep cleansing your desk this new year, prepping it for 2024, make sure that deep cleansing runs in your mind and its peace too, where you take all those unnecessary things out because not just any reason, they simply do not fit in anymore in your area of growth, in your path of existence. And remember, a no is always a yes in disguise. Yes to your happiness, your priorities. Yes to things and people who truly and utterly matter. If you want to succeed in the path of life, you'll have to cut out things that live on your good energy and leave you feeling low and exhausted. Choose your happiness, your goals. It is a yes to all those things you work and pray for. Lastly, you can be the kindest and the purest of souls, but do not forget that givers have to set the limit, because the takers, they never set any limit. And before I wind up today's podcast, there is this one last thing that I want to add. You can be the kindest and the purest of souls, but do not forget that the givers have to set the limits, because the takers, they never ever set any limits. You are the one who's giving out, and the ones taking it, they will never know a limit to it. So it's better for you to realize what your limit is. I'm your host Priyal, and I'll meet you next Sunday. Till then, I wish you a very happy, jubilant and prosperous new year on behalf of entire team of Edify Living. As always, we would love to hear about your reviews on the podcast. You can write to us on our email, which is given in the description below, or find us on our Instagram handle, that is edify.living. Thank you so much for streaming in, and I hope you have a wonderful Sunday. Adios until next time.